Hey guys, Ark here, bringing to you the next episode of the creeping series, and we are on Echo Isles here. There's two creep camps that are very common in this map, and it is of course the Merc Camp and the Green Camp to the north of your base. We're going to start with the Merc Camp in this case. I do have the Warden this time, so a little bit different, but oftentimes you'll creep this with really anything: Warden, Keeper, Demon Hunter. More commonly, either the Demon Hunter or the Warden, excuse me. So that's why we're just going to try something a little bit differently here with the Warden. So the key thing here is, so imagine that I just finished my Archer. The first thing we're going to do, uproot this AOW. Now we're not going to aggro the creep yet. We're going to eat this tree and then put us back down into the ground. The reason, of course, being that we want to drag these range creeps away towards the AOW. So then, now that he's rooted, we're going to aggro this creep camp. And right here, we're going to uproot and continue running this Archer around. And now we are attacking the Geomancer here. So it really doesn't matter what you attack, but you want to kill this Geomancer or the Renegade Wizard first, because as long as you kill those two first, those are the two keys creeps, because Renegade Wizard is of course the item, level 5 as well. And then the slow creep here, the Geomancer, has slow, which is if your opponent comes to harass you, very difficult to deal with the slow. Next thing I'm going to go after is the Tunnelers, and that's because of course they bash, and it's the most experience on this creep camp here. And then from here, you don't need the Wisps anymore. That was really just for the first Wizard, as well as in case they harass you during this. But just like that, I have the Ring of Regeneration, and well, I just killed that with AOW, but level 2 with my hero. I also have opened up this Merc Camp. Now, one thing I didn't do, which I really should have actually, is as soon as you can buy this Forest Troll Shadow Priest. One, it prevents your opponent from getting it and messing up your creeping. But it's also a big benefit with this opening up this Merc Camp is now you can use this AOW and start sending it to creep this Murloc camp or even go after the gold mine. So we're going to call this one good. So if you want to review how I crept the Merc Camp here, it's very similar to this side of the map. Exact same process. You run your Archer around the trees, you aggro, and you start attacking the Wizard or the slow creep. So just like that, we're going to go ahead and jump over to the top AOW creep camp spawn. This is the other common location. And actually, I did just think of another one. So we're going to go ahead and send this here, and hopefully I can get there in time. If not, it's okay. I'll just explain it. So Archer just came out of the AOW. We're going to go ahead and aggro it and pull it back. And after a little while, I like to uproot it. Now it looks like the trappers didn't come with me. Usually they will, so I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But my hero wouldn't normally attack during this time, but you'll creep it just about the same speed. Eat the tree and then just send your AOW to the trappers. Now normally you can drag at least one of the trappers to here and the other one a little further away. So with good stutter step movement with the AOW, you miss very little attacks and you can creep this very quickly. So just like that, Echo Isles, we can call that one quits. The harder creep camp, of course, is the Merc Camp, so definitely practice that one before you try and implement it. Now, the next creep camp I'm going to cover is one that I would really only recommend versus Orc, at least so far I would only recommend it versus Orc. It's a very interesting creep route and or creep camp to start with, and one that really plays around the meta, I guess, quite a bit. So you might not find that much success with it until you get to a certain skill level, and that's because you're making assumptions of what your opponent's going to do. First thing is, I'm going to buy a circle. So normally, you'd have a Keeper of the Grove for this creep route. So I would primarily recommend this with the Keeper of the Grove. You'll send your Wisp at the start, and instead of sending it to here or sending it to there, you're going to send it all the way cross map to this item shop here and place it right here. You're going to plop that down, start building it, and then go for a Keeper. The key that you want to do, and actually if I can drag this out long enough, the AOW is going to get here, so perfect. So the key here is against an Orc player, Keeper of the Grove is very standard. But on this map, it's a little bit challenging to get level 2, depending on the opening that your opponent does. One benefit with this creep camp here is it's an immediate level 2, and you can very safely creep this camp against most builds. So I'm gonna go ahead and root it. The key essentially is that generally what an Orc will do is they will not scout. and they will, they will not scout, and so they don't necessarily know what you're doing up until they Blade Master Scout or Grunt Scout. So they'll either creep this item here and then run towards you. They potentially could creep the entire camp, run towards you. They could, I guess, do quite a few different things. But generally, they're not going to really know exactly where you're at up until they see right here. So once they scout this position, because if they creep this item here, run cross maps to try and scout you, the Grunt is typically going to run here. The Blade Master will typically run here. And just like that, they know that you're somewhere weird, and then they're going to start looking. So they'll probably run south here, and they'll probably send the Grunt back towards this direction here, going towards his gold mine. So it's really the last place that they're going to check is you at the item shop. That's generally why this creep camp can work relatively safely. Now, if they go shop first, it's a very difficult opening in general, because they'll usually scout alongside that shop first. So again, just like the Merc Camp, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to uproot it, eat a tree, and then root the tree. Now, you do need a wisp for this creep camp, actually, so a little bit delayed here. But I'm going to aggro the Ogre Mauler and then uproot. And they essentially, I was a little too early. The goal of what you were doing, of what I was doing rather, was to get the Berserkers in range of the AOW, because you want to go after the Berserkers first. It really cuts back down on the DPS that the tree has to survive. And then you also want to buy a circlet as soon as you can from the Goblin shop, and that speeds up this creep camp quite a bit. The next thing here, you're just going to basically kill down the Ogre Mauler here, and just like that, you're going to be level 2 with a pretty nice item. It's going to be Sentry Ward, Wand of Illusion, something that's very big for you. And that's actually one of the keys of why I think this creep route is very strong versus a non-shop first opening. Because this item gives you basically the power to control the entire map, because you can use the Sentry Wards with the Keeper to really understand what's going on. You can use Wand of Illusion to really trick out your opponent. You can use the healing. Actually, the healing is probably the worst item you can get, to be honest, from this camp. But another big aspect that is kind of a little undervalued is the fact that this marketplace right here won't have an item other than what your opponent has, of course. The reason being is that you didn't kill this creep camp, so the opponent has a much lower likelihood of getting a good item from here. The other aspect is there's no circlet, because you bought the circlet, and so that allows you to control the early game very, very effectively. So we're going to call it quits here. That's Echo Isles. I just threw this one spur of the moment, but feel free to practice that as well. That's one that you can throw in here and there versus Orc. So take care now. Bye.